There's no guarantee if you put a lot of work into it, but you also can never get lucky if you don't put a lot of work into it.
I'm glad you said that,
that's
because
the piece. It's like it's multifaceted.
So there's a clip of Slim Thug basically talking about how he's not being obligated to help people who are, it's quote unquote lazy.
Okay.
Take a listen and then we'll discuss.
What I had to stay up and work for while you was in the bed sleep. Like, no, I don't feel sorry for you. No, you decided to place yourself wherever you want to be in this world, and you got to live with that. And you and God deal with that. If I just feel nice and I want to just bless you, okay, cool, I will. But I don't feel no type of obligation to give nobody nothing who ain't putting in that work like me. And that's around the board. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel sorry for nobody who ain't putting in that work like me. If you ain't in that with me putting in that work, I don't feel sorry for you. Wherever you land in this world, you had the chance to work hard. You didn't. So you live where you live like you live, and that's what your life is, because you thought losing was cool. Hell no, I don't want to give you what I had to stay.
Thought losing was cool.
So you got I laughed at that part of it too. Jay, what you think about that, man? Just from a creative standpoint, if you have success and, you get blessed and things go your way, how much of the wealth should you share? Who's deserving of what? Because the way he sounds, if you wasn't shooting in the gym, you might not get blessed.
I don't have it like Slim Thug.
Right.
But, I do feel him from a certain point of, but I'm in a position to, put people on and in certain ways. And I don't ever really try to put people in position to win who haven't put in the work, or who, when I do give them an opportunity, they show up late, or they do something stupid, or they become entitled. The opportunities that people have are, you can't. Someone asked it specifically one time. It's like, oh, will you put Brother to the Night on? Mm-hmm. I was like, I can't put Brother to the Night on. He had to be prepared when I had an opportunity for him.
True.
And because he was prepared and I had an opportunity, that's not putting somebody on. Putting somebody on. See, we kind of have the language messed up. We think putting somebody on is grabbing them off the street and giving them a job that they really don't even deserve.
All right.
Okay. I can't, if you are capable and there's something where I'd be like, okay, I can help you out with this. And, maybe use your skill set.
Yeah.
And then in turn, it generates some money for you and maybe some other opportunities for you. Mm-hmm. Then that's something we can all work with. But if you just standing around hoping it's going to happen for you. And the thing is, like, sometimes you do. I will say this. Sometimes you have a messed up attitude. I know I'm guilty of this, because you see how hard you work, especially on days when you don't. There have been days I don't feel like going to work.
Right.
Or because I work at this point several jobs. I work 7 days a week. Yeah. I don't have any days off. People like to say, oh yeah, no days off. We move and we grind and whatever. No, like, there are people who see me one place and be like, didn't I just see you here? Didn't I just see you here? And then, sometimes there'll be people to come in and just want something. And I feel a level of resentment to it. And I was like, that shouldn't be how, in my spirit and how I was raised. Right. Especially if somebody's less fortunate. But I'm like, dog, how you going to come in here every day begging? The effort you put into begging, you could have helped, you could have done something for yourself. So sometimes there's a bit of resentment towards people who just want something because they want it, as opposed to wanting to work for it. But, and this is, let me hear myself. This sounds very Republican. But I feel and was like, look, if you have, like I said, if you have a skill set, if you're prepared when someone calls you to do something, then you never know. You can create so many opportunities for yourself. But if you're just looking to get on because you think, hey man, I'm me. Right. No, it doesn't work like that. It does, and the thing is, like, dude, nobody's coming to save you. I'm just going to say it like this. And this is especially if I'm talking to men right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you are a man, nobody is coming to save you. So you better get it together. You better figure out what you're good at, find out a way to make money with that and be of use, not only to yourself, but to other people, to where maybe they can put you in a position to win because of your dedication and your talent.
Yeah, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, man. Do that.
Well, that's actually real, though. At the end of the day, that's really. I was going to ask you, Lone, but if you want to stop at bootstraps, that's fine.
That'll be a nice place to edit.
Yeah, good cut right there.
I think
because you're in a position too. Like we all are, whatever, however you want to look at it. But Lone, you're in a position where you can, bless people with opportunities to do certain things based on what you do. So you can definitely speak on this as well.
I mean, more so in the past, I think, but
you got experience in it.
Yeah. I think you kept saying when preparations, and what's that quote?
Preparation meets opportunity.
It's a quote from Seneca where it says, "When luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. I agree with what Slim Thug is saying. I respect that, and I understand what he's saying. No, nobody's going to get a handout just simply because you're there or you know somebody, or I'm not going to give you something if I don't know you or anything like that, or if you're not putting in the work, why do you deserve it over somebody else? At the end of the day, somebody who is showing that they are doing their due diligence and trying to get on, then I think there's more merit there. But at the other idea, he mentioned something along the lines of, you get out and you have to do it. I don't know what he said exactly, but it was suggesting that meritocracy is real. And it was suggesting that as long as you work, you're going to be able to get your thing. That's all you have to do is work. And I think the fact that we have a lot of people that typically that are out here and that are, I wouldn't even say begging, but just like wanting to be seen, wanting to have those opportunities. I think that kind of showcases enough that isn't really the case a lot of times. And so I think a lot of times people are looking for an opportunity, looking for a break, probably not looking for a handout, but looking for the opportunity. And I think the advice there is just keep doing you and keep grinding and keep adapting, constantly adapting to what you're doing. And like Jay said, put yourself in Brother to the Night. Sure. When he first mentioned his name to you. Yeah. Okay. I know of the guy, obviously he's on the pod, he's been on our show a lot, but it's different than when he's been out here showing up to events and you guys talk to each other. You guys created a relationship and then an opportunity arises. Then he can be like, all right, cool. I can put you in this spot because you are ready. You are available to do all the things, to represent all the things that I need you to represent, in this situation. And that goes across the board with everything, you know what I mean? And relationships are important in that manner. So if you have a relationship with people or you have relationships with people, those relationships typically go a longer way than just yelling at the wall, you know what I mean? So it's just what it is. So that's my only thing. Only pushback I would give back on that. I don't even really think it's super relative, but it's just that just because you work hard doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get anything. And I think that's the lie that we need to stop telling people.
Well, yeah, I mean, because kind of even out what I said in my first statement, because on a few shows ago I said, look, nobody works harder in the United States of America than poor people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You see people who work those 40, 50, 60 hours, and they're toiling away at jobs a lot of times that do not allow them sometimes to pursue their dream because they got to do so much just to maintain their basic living expenses, and it's under the guise of, hey, we can just think about the idea of minimum wage. Like minimum wage is almost like society saying, okay, how little can we pay you so you don't come in here and think about beating up your boss, and people literally being paid. I'm not going to say minimum wage because like if you're somewhere where they're only paying $7.50, you need to get out of there. Yeah. But even when you're paying $11 and $12 an hour, depending on where you live, that's not enough to really maintain a
lifestyle. Yeah.
Most places,
especially if you're talking about larger metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
So, like I said, those people are also working hard. Like sometimes we have this thing in America where we look down on people just because they're poor and you don't have an idea of how hard they work. Despite the fact that they don't have what you would, or just the accoutrement, if you will, of a successful life. So I want to balance out kind of what I said with that statement as well, because I can't act like I don't know that life as well.
For sure.
In fact, I'm still on the verge of living and being a part of that life. But I also know, sitting around complaining and playing video games and smoking weed all day is not going to get me any closer to being out of that life.
Yeah. People got to match the energy in that aspect if they want to come along board. It's just kind of what it is.
No, for sure. What you think, Terry? I know you've been in positions like that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably speak from Slim Thug's angle since everybody else has touched on everything else. But I mean, to me, it sounds like he's speaking to people that he grew up with that thinks he's in a position to just
put everybody
hand
on.
you over something. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't out here helping hunting, then you can't eat with me. Essentially, I think is what he's saying.
I do too.
And in that sense, yeah, I dig it because it's almost like people are waiting for you to get on. It's like the Money Mitch's uncle.
Money making Mitch. High roller, come to visit.
Paid in full.
Paid in full, yeah.
So how you look like you shining. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're waiting on me to give you something, so that you can be like me. But I'm the one that put in all the work. So why would I just hand this over to you, essentially? And that doesn't make sense. Everybody should, even if I am in a position to put you on, you have to be able to play your part, essentially. You have to be part of the team. So what are you going to do in order to earn your keep, so to speak, rather than me just handing you over some money and then it's not a value to you? It's kind of like the analogy that Jay-Z said when his family member asking for like $5,000 for a business venture. We know Jay-Z has $5,000, but if I just give you this $5,000, then what does that mean? Because you know that doesn't mean anything to me. So as soon as you jack off this $5,000, you're ready to come back and get another $5,000 because you're trying to view the money how I'm viewing it.
Right.
And it's nothing to me, but it's something to you. So if you it up, then you can't come back to me like, well, I need another one because that venture didn't work out. And
that play didn't go all the way out.
So what makes you think that I believe this next one's going to work out? I think Logic had the same conversation with his dad.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, I seen a episode where he was talking to his dad about his dad asking him to buy a house. He goes, well, if I buy you a house, then I have all these brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
I got to buy them houses too.
You know, he got all this money, he got millions of dollars, but he don't want to help nobody. He don't want to buy nobody a house. Well, hold up, let's just step back real quick. There was a time when you came to me, asked me for $850,000 to buy you a house studio for you and your band. I've also had my sister ask me to buy her a house. I've had my brothers ask me to give them money. I've given tens of thousands of dollars to my brothers and my sisters, and I've seen them piss it away.
What about my mom? I got to buy her a house too. Like, I can't just buy you a house just because you think I'm worth all of this money, which I am, but I can't just give it to you and not give it to everybody else. Right. Everybody has to work and pretty much pay their fare.
Because then what if I give you the house and you don't pay the HOA or you don't pay the taxes on it, and then you're coming to me like, oh, my water's about to get cut off. You know, they got my internet bill. Like, it never stops.
Right. No, it never stops.
You know, and there are certain people you do that for, you know, but at the same time, you know.
Yeah, like the people, your immediate family, your spouses, your kids, to a certain extent, because, I mean, your kids have to get to a point where they have to understand that I have to get out here and get it too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not responsible. At the end of the day, you're not responsible for anybody but yourself and your spouse once the kids get to a certain age. I mean, I don't believe in the mantra of kicking your kids out on the street.
Right.
But they do or should have to provide or be part of the, you know what I'm saying? The team.
The collective,
the team in order to make the ship run.
Especially if you're like 25. You know.
No, I mean, I think this is one of those good conversations that I hope,
for sure.
I hope actually, you know, people listen to and they don't turn off as soon as I start saying, if you don't work hard, you don't get shit. But, you know, even that's partially true. I mean,
to a certain extent.
I mean,
but everyone,
it's true because of how our society is set up, and it's. I think the thing that I have a problem with that in general is just that, yes, we should all have to work, but we all do work. I think it's just the fact that we have to work so much harder, and we're promised this light at the end of the tunnel, and that light does not exist.
It never.
We also use the term loser too. So when you think of loser, I don't necessarily think of somebody that's working hard and just not making enough. When I think of a loser, I think of somebody that I'm content with this couch, that plastic chair, a nightstand, and my video games, a sack of weed, and McDonald's. That's loser behavior.
I'm perfectly fine I'm perfectly fine with just doing the bare minimum.
And
I'm
hoping somebody's gonna come save me,
right, and
provide to me more income so I can still do the bare minimum with what I have, but just look better doing it.
It is just like what you said and what Jay Moore said. There is no There's no carriage that rides into the hood and picks you up and just takes you to, or any, thank you, Lone. There's no carriage that comes into your neighborhood and says, okay, we're going to pick you up and set you up for a whole new life, and you ride off into the sunset. Your concept about the light at the end. That doesn't exist. That's not realistic.
No.
And nothing is going to be given without some form of effort. It's the conversation about the preparation.
We've seen what happened to MC Hammer in real time.
Yeah.
Trying to provide for everybody. And mind you, he's still in a position that he's well off for himself.
No, he's straight.
Everybody else called him broke. He's broke because he can't take care of you anymore.
Exactly.
But his life is still fine.
Yeah.
By himself.
100%.
And the thing is, like, when you were riding with Hammer, you didn't do what you were supposed to do with the money or create opportunity for yourself.
And that's not Hammer's fault.
And then you're mad at Hammer because he has to pare down. Now he can't take 40 people on stage with him. Maybe he only can take 15. So the 25 people he can't take with him anymore were like, oh, Hammer ain't nothing. No, you should have put yourself in a position or saved some of the money when y'all was living real high off the hog.
Facts.
Like there's always that story about, like, you know, the people that get taken, who literally maybe the carriage does come through and they get taken on tour. They get to meet all these people. They have all these opportunities, and then when the tour is over, they look up and like, all I got is a jacket and, you know, some free stuff we got on
merch.
tour. And now you're upset at the person that took you and think they should have done more. And it's like, no, you had a golden opportunity and didn't do anything with it, and now you're back and you got to go work, you know, and be a regular person, which is what a lot of, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people, y'all don't want to be regular people.
True.
You know, there are people who could get a good 9 to 5. You know, everybody wants to be a boss. Everybody, and I'm telling you right now, everybody want to be a boss. Do you realize the boss eats last?
Man.
Yeah.
That's the nasty part.
That's it right there.
Everybody want to be CEO and president of this, and then you realize that you got to pay everybody to make sure, you know, you can keep the train running, and sometimes there's nothing left for you. And so Slim Thug might have come from a situation where he's like, he tried to do for people.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes that's where the bitterness comes from.
No, for sure.
You know, to where, like, you know, I'm not doing this anymore. It's like I tried to show y'all, like, you know, the whole, you know, show you how to fish instead of giving you fish.
Yeah.
You know,
teach a man to fish.
And, you know, it's like, look, I showed y'all how to fish, and you still was up here asking me for fish. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I really hate this conversation though, because it's putting the onus on the individual. You know, like I understand, because everything that everybody's saying is absolutely true, but still at the same time, even if you do work really hard, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to accomplish the things that you're going to accomplish or want to accomplish. And it gets around the idea that it's just this faulty idea that hard work
equals riches,
equals something prosperous, and it's such an indoctrinated type of thing.
Because essentially,
it's just like, it's not how it is. But we are saying, like, we're coming like, well, if we can help you if you do these things, but at the same time, maybe I'm not in a position when you get to that point to actually help you because I'm doing something else. Then, you know, like, I don't know. It's just,
like we've been working hard on this particular show for years and years.
We can't put nobody on. In
this aspect of things.
For sure.
But it hasn't, I mean, it's paid off as far as we have listeners like that are listening now, viewing us and things like that. But it hasn't hit that level to where we're satisfied with it.
For sure.
Right. So essentially it would be considered, well, we're working hard, but it hasn't paid off. So
but we're
not doing anything to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, but to us it's like, I mean, once it happens, and then it'll look like it happened overnight to you. But we know how hard we've been putting in work on this particular situation.
Yeah, it's like when people say, hey, you know, I want to do something like Take That Tuesday. You know how long we went and nobody cared nothing about Take That Tuesday?
Yeah.
You know.
It's just, I mean, a lot of work goes into it. And I think that's the bittersweet part of it is, like, there's no guarantee if you put a lot of work into it. But you also can never get lucky if you don't put a lot of work into it.
I'm glad you like, said that,
that's
because
the piece. It's like it's multifaceted. So it's like,
because the operative word, the word work still has to be applied.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's about how you look at it. Like if you don't have a false sense of whatever, there's a fake narrative or whatever. But the work part still has to be done.
There's
to
even loopholes in that though, because how many people have you seen just out of nowhere, and they will literally brag to you about how short of time that they've spent on this craft.
This is true.
And made it.
This is true.
It's like, I ain't really did nothing. They brag about it. I ain't did nothing. You know, I ran into such and such, and boom, here I am. Like Game even tells a story And he wasn't even rapping a year before he got on.
Yeah.
It's like
There's
it just
always-
happened to get in the right person's hand.
Yep.
And it just went from there.
There's always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
But you can't base everything off that exception.
Exactly.
You know,
what I mean?
you got to look at things like that as being anecdotal. Like, okay, for
sure.
example, I won an Xbox from Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Okay, now,
That's why I eat Taco Bell every day now.
but imagine I tell that story. I'm like, oh, instead of someone saying that's a cool story, they're like, I'm going to eat at Taco Bell every day until I win an Xbox too.
You could have bought one by the time you
Exactly.
spent all that money.
You know, like I was going to buy said Xbox, you know, because the one I had got stolen, but that's another story for another time. But when I won one, but that should inspire you to say, okay, I'm going to spend $10 at Taco Bell every day
until I get an Xbox.
And when you could have you could have saved the money and bought an Xbox.
Yeah. But then you wouldn't have all the Taco Bell.
Exactly. Well, that too. But
But you still probably won't get the Xbox. That's the case.
that's the thing. Like what the whole story is like, yes, it's a cool story, but you don't think that I'm never going to win whatever new Xbox or PlayStation. That's never going to happen to me again. Statistically, it's just not.
It's not.
It's like the Monopoly game.
Yeah.
You know,
a documentary on that one.
Yeah. So it's like when you see someone who literally gets lucky, where they do something one time, it happens, and they go straight to the moon. You got to understand that's not statistically going to happen to you.
Yeah. It's an anomaly, man. It's anecdotal, like you said, you know, so you got to take it with a grain of salt.
So you still have, you know, if you're one of those people that, you know, because I heard a story recently about, oh yeah, this is the first beat I ever made, and then it winds up being a hit song, and it's like, okay, that happened for that guy. It's not going. You hate to tell this to people, but it's not going to happen to you.
You talk about a one-off.
I know somebody who
that actually happened with Busta Rhymes. Put your hands where my eyes can see.
That was their
the first beat
was
that
that
they
their first
had ever
joint?
made. Yes.
Was
it?
That's crazy.
Yes.
You know, but I know somebody whose family won the lottery when I was in college. You know, like she went from, you know, when she went home for Thanksgiving, whatever, went from having to sleep on the couch to, you know, being able to have a nice place on Lakeshore Drive. But that did not make me say, damn, I need to go start playing the lottery.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Because statistically, that just will never happen to you.
Yeah. Capitalism, probably.
Yeah, that too.
Show me the money.
Well, I think Terry's point is the one where he said it sounded like he's addressing some people that might have been around there. Yeah. Now that I think about what you said, that's a very good point.
It's not the same. I mean, and I always give props to LeBron. No matter, he didn't just give anybody jobs.
Yeah,
they had to literally learn how to do something, and then he paid them to do their job, and they do their job well.
True.
And unfortunately, everybody's situation doesn't happen like that, where you have somebody that's very talented with money in their hands that was able to provide for you to at least learn something to benefit yourself and benefit me. True. And now we're all rich.